This is the NEF file. NEF file is a type of raw file. Okay, raw file, for example, the basic meaning of a raw file is that a file which is, however a camera can understand the hardware language, it takes the picture in that method and stores it in the camera. Normally, if you see your mobile cameras and all, can it take a raw picture? Why? Because what it does is like it takes in a raw picture first. Okay, it always does that, but it never saves in the raw file format. It will just export it to a JPEG and save it, because when you want to view that picture in the mobile, so you can only view it as a JPEG file. If it's a raw file, your mobile format doesn't support to show you that formatted file. So normally that's the first thing. First thing we discuss about in this training is about this thing. What are the different types of files available? Okay, now when you put your memory card inside, you will get this thing. Okay, so the memory card name will be basically, if you format it inside your camera, it becomes the name of the camera or your memory card name. Okay, if you format it in your computer, you can give any name you want. Do you understand? So you see the raw file, the memory card file name, it's 5300, and then you have the DCIM basically all the camera pictures will be there, all the pictures will be there. You can also have multiple folders over here, it doesn't matter. It won't save the pictures everywhere, it only saves the picture inside DCIM. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is like DCIM is a common folder. Suppose you are inserting this memory card on your friend's Canon camera, it's gonna save it on the same location? No, it's not gonna do that. So first it's going to come inside your memory card and then go to the DCIM folder, and then it's going to create a new folder based on the camera name of your friend's Canon camera. Okay, like you have 100D 5300, right? You see the name of the camera here. Okay, yeah. Likewise it will create another folder with the name of that camera which you are using. So, and then whatever pictures you take on that camera will be stored in the separate folder rather than storing it on the same file. You understand? Mm-hmm. Okay, the files will maintain a number order, so every time you format your memory card, it's gonna change. Do you understand? Someone has done a photo shoot.
It's not me, it's my brother.
I know. He's taking selfie with the camera.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing.
Okay, fine. So, anyways. See the number is different, right? So if you have enabled RAW plus JPEG, so you're gonna get the same file name 2 times. It'll be like this. So you see how many DSC 0001 is there? How many files is there in the same name? 2 of them. So what this 2 of them means is that this one has a different extension, this one has a different extension. So if you see the extension of this is about 2.2 MB in size, and the extension is a JPEG file. And in the same file name, you can see the size is 23.9 MB. And it's a NEF file. So NEF file is a native file format of any Nikon cameras. So Nikon camera saves its raw file as NEF files. Canon camera saves it as some other name. Sony camera saves as some other name. What is that Canon saves as? Huh?
CR2.
C?
CR2.
CR2. I saw a different name. There was a 0 there somewhere. Got it? So basically that's the difference. Now you see there's 0606 and there is only 07. You know why? Because I deleted it. I deleted it.
But when I used to install the images into my system, but it doesn't show anything. just only one images it shows, the another images it doesn't show.
Because your camera is only clicking on RAW mode. It doesn't click RAW plus basic.
Raw plus basic.
So this is RAW plus basic.
So we have to do any settings for that particular?
Yes, of course, it's in your camera. Everything the pictures is taking is all the settings because of your camera. Because in a computer, we're not writing anything to the memory card. We are reading from the memory card. Do you get the difference? There's the input, output, I/O. So input is basically writing and output is basically reading. Like, wherever it goes, output becomes a read. When input comes, it becomes a write. Okay, so it's basically an I/O. So whatever is over here is because of your camera settings.
What is preferred, Venkat, to take just RAW, just JPEG, or RAW plus JPEG?
So I normally prefer RAW plus JPEG because, see, if you just take RAW file, right? See, it's loading. If you load a JPEG file, loads instantly. But when I zoom in, this quality of it gets spoiled, right? But in terms of RAW file, it is quite big. That's why the first primary reason why it's taking time to load, because it has so much detail that it preserves all the blacks and whites. It won't spoil those blacks and whites. That's why it's taking time to load that picture into the memory. Do you understand the difference?
Yeah.
So I prefer RAW plus basic because basic gets you a very light JPEG file. It won't even exist. For example, my RAW file is 23 MB. My basic JPEG is about 2 MB. It's fine.
That's the problem which I asked you when I called you that my like images are just 2 MB or something. I was not knowing what to do.
Yeah, because you're clicking picture in a basic mode. Okay, basic JPEG mode. When you go for basic JPEG mode, you will only get on basic JPEG, file over here.
Okay.
You won't get this file.
Wrong.
Exactly. Any questions on this? Okay, so these are the files. Now what is this file? So open this file. This is basically a XMB file. XMB, right? XMP files, not B. XMP file is created by Photoshop. Photoshop is different, very different from Lightroom. Okay, for some of you to understand that. When you're talking about Photoshop, we talk about something really advanced in terms of photo manipulation. When you talk about Lightroom, it's basically a very simple tool which opens up bulk images and you can synchronize the image, the properties of the images across different pictures. Okay, and also you can do a little bit of editing as well, like as you do for Photoshop. But Photoshop, a lot of features are there which is exclusively for Photoshop because both are from Adobe. If Adobe is going to create the same software twice, they look so stupid, aren't they? So, and Adobe is creating Photoshop, why Adobe has to create Lightroom? There should be obviously some difference between them, right? So that's the difference. Okay, Photoshop is more professional towards each and every single editing picture. So you want to edit the background, foreground, you want to correct things around, then go to Photoshop. Okay, you don't want to edit all those things, you just want to correct the colors and the stuff, go to Lightroom because it's a bulk editing tool. Clear? Understandable? Easy? Okay, so every time you create this thing, right, see, for example, you open a Photoshop file in Lightroom, okay, you can only export it as a JPEG. You can save it as a Photoshop file, but then it becomes a Photoshop file. In terms of a RAW file, it's very simple. So what happens is, like, when you open this picture in Photoshop, okay, what happens is it opens in a separate mode called camera RAW mode. Okay, now camera RAW mode is where you can update, so you can do some settings over there, like the pictures, colors, and stuff like that. You can adjust, but you cannot edit the picture, like as in like the corrections and all those things. You cannot do that. You can do the color corrections there, very specific color corrections, and then all those corrections you have done will be stored in this XMP file. That's basically the use of this file. So when I remove this file, all those color correction I did on this will be gone. So you just notice this, how the picture is looking like now. Okay, it looks like this, right? So when I open in Photoshop, right, So this is how it's looking on Photoshop. Okay. Now I'm changing a lot of details. Okay. Okay. So now I'm just clicking on done. Now if you see, all those things will go and sit over here in this part. So what a mess. Right? All the changes will go and sit over here. Now what I'm doing is I'm deleting this file. So I'm opening the same file again on Photoshop. All the changes I did was gone because all those data was stored in the XMP file. You understand? So that's the use of that file.
If I'm gonna just copy to my phone.
Sure. Yeah, you're asking me a question.
Like if I just copy those images to my phone, the settings will be changed or will change?
What?
When I used to copy to my phone the image which have been edited.
You have to export it as a JPEG before you copy it. This one you're opening the raw file itself.
Okay.
What is this file extension? This is a raw file. This JPEG file. So whenever you are done with the changes, right, what you will do is like you will copy, you will export that file into a JPEG file. That's how it works. You either export it as a Photoshop file or you export it as a JPEG file. Do you understand? And the moment you export it as a JPEG file, then this is what you copy to your mobile. Not that file. If you copy this one, you cannot open this file on your mobile. Okay, so remember that. So that's a thing. Any questions? No? Clear? Arpit?
Yeah.
Understanding?
Yeah.
So this is the basics. So this is how we start before we go inside the training. Okay. This gives you the overall idea about the what the tool you're working and how it's interacting with you. You can also see picture details over here. We call it metadata. Like for example, where it is stored, extension, size, created, modified, and access date. Okay, and then details. In details, you get the same thing. One more thing extra: date taken, when the picture was taken, resolution, size, which maker, model, ISO, f-stop, shutter speed. So this also we are planning to display it on every picture on our exhibition so that people can get more idea into it. Like what we will do is like, Arpit, that's your work. Okay, so you have to get the pictures details from here and then put it on a printout. We will take a printout over here itself. We will take printout like this. In one sheet itself like 5 information or 6 information. Cut it, paste it under the picture. So people will get to know what is the metadata information as well. Okay, so everything we click is manual. You can even see whether you clicked it in automatic mode and cheated us or not. Okay, so we can see all these details over here. Okay, so my camera has GPS, so I've turned it off, but if you turn it on, you will get the GPS location, latitude and longitude. So all those information you get as well. Clear? Okay, so this is what it is. So these are some of the pictures I've edited. Do you see a cyclone coming? Storm coming, right?
Similar.
Yeah, we didn't make it better, but yeah, there is scope of doing it. But it's almost there, right? See that storm is in the middle. It's a typhoon coming. Okay, so likewise you can make it. Like so many things we have done. See this one, this one. Okay, this was also taken in paranormal. Okay, and few more we did, which is not here. I'll show you. So these are the things we try to edit. Okay, let me open a raw file now. Okay, so let me go over to today's picture. To today, where are you? This guy is done.
Wrong. One XU each way.
This is the bakra. Oh, it's a nice picture. Bakra is waiting. We can edit this picture. This is a nice picture. This can go for the exhibition. Right, Arpit? Yeah, sure.
Hello.
It's very crispy, right?
Hello. Yeah, who's this? Hi. Can you call me? I have to run now.
Done? Oh, perfect. So, okay. So this picture, first thing is like what we call as white balance. Normally, white balance, we don't do anything. We put it on auto. If you notice in your camera, you don't touch white balance. You don't touch the other thing called picture control. Not picture control. Yeah, picture control. Yeah, I think it's a Nikon. It is called as a camera profile. Have you heard that? We have this thing like vivid, all those things over there. In your camera, you have it. You have a Nikon or Canon? Nikon, right? How about you? Okay. Just show me that. Just she's taking it. Oh yeah, you got it. See, it's if you go over this in the settings over here, picture control. Heard about it? I don't think so. Picture control.
Okay.
So when you go on here, you have all those settings, right? So those settings and the white balance, we don't touch it. I don't recommend you to touch it as well.
Okay.
Why? Because those things you can configure it here in your Photoshop. When you have a raw file, there's a star mark, conditions apply. So you can make the picture hot, like you can give the warmness to the picture, or you can give coolness to your picture. Again, your taste is coming into the picture now. I normally don't go either the extent. I go leave it in the between somewhere. Okay, you can make it greenish or you can make it reddish. Again, that's something up to you again. But I will leave it in the middle again because it has both greenish and there are tones they say for human beings. When you edit a human being's picture, it needs to be more cooler. Sometimes depends. Again, your taste comes into picture. I don't want to say much on that. Okay, it's up to you. But you can go as short. You can go automatic. You can go daylight, and then cloudy, and stuff. But I normally set it at daylight. It's actually good. It's nice, right? Okay, let's go to the next settings. These are the very important settings which you will find in Lightroom as well. Okay, normally what I do is first go to auto and see how computer is calibrating this brightness and darkness, and then I go to default. You understand? So make sure I touch base on both the ends. Okay, so when I go to auto, I understand what is the computer saying, and when I go to default, I get to back to the one. Normally, I don't touch exposure because exposure gets you bad things happens when you touch exposure. And look at it. Look at this. Okay, exposure is something you cannot touch. Okay, let it in the middle. Now you see this is a histogram. This is basically going to tell you how much of a picture is on the overexposed and how much of the picture is underexposed. It tells you both the equation. Okay, so it is you that you have to take care of. Make sure this mountain is in the middle, not on the sides. Okay, so the next thing is contrast, and also like you can hold Alt and then press this button. You will get a negative view of it. Okay, if I go higher, right, you see that. If I get lower, nothing is there. So I go to extend. You can go to extend where unless you see the red color. Red color means highlighting. It's becoming exposed, overexposed, that kind of thing. Okay, so till there you can go. Okay, but I don't like it. It's too bright, isn't it? So just come back to the normal one and make it a little bit bright. That's it. Okay, now contrast will get you to the other side of it. You might like sometimes when you go on a higher contrast ratio, you might like the lower contrast ratio. Okay, but I would not recommend going beyond 60% of any setting here. Okay, because the moment you go 60% of a setting, it screws up your picture. It becomes fake. So mind it that you don't go too much and then spoil your picture. Okay, and then highlights. Hold Alt again. This is a very well balanced picture. There is no problem. This picture was taken when the metering is on 0. Okay, so that means there is no highlight or darkness in this picture in unwanted places. So this is a very well balanced picture. So
Like how do you
when you
know that,
hold Alt and press this, you will see that. Is there any white color?
No.
Now, when I do it like this, if this is the picture, this is how the picture was taken. I hold Alt and press this. Never mind, it's not coming out. Let me go to white and then see. Now white is coming up. Now this is how the picture was taken. Okay. Now I'm holding Alt and pressing this one. You see that? What does that mean? It means that area on the picture is highlighted. I mean, it's exposed or overexposed. White color means overexposed. Now when I reduce it, it becomes red color, right? It means exposed. Little bit more exposed than others. See that's the area where this white color is. So the more I reduce it, you see that the sharpness goes off on this one, and then you start to see the skin over here. See that the extra hair is coming into visibility. Previously, you had no idea about this hair, but the moment you reduce it, you see that extra hair, a little bit of hair is coming. Do you see the hair now? Yeah. So you cannot go beyond 60% here as well, or else you'll damage the picture. So you go to 60% over here and decrease the highlight. When you decrease the highlight, it's eventually going to reduce all these things. Are you clear? We have to play with these settings. It's not that one setting is good for. You cannot tell me what is the recommended setting for this, any picture. No, there is no recommended picture for any settings. It depends on the detail, the amount of lights and darkness in the picture basically determines everything about the picture. Yeah. Okay, so now you can see the details which is missed over earlier because of the too much brightness by decreasing the brightness. Okay, so now you see a complete new picture than the before one. Do you understand? Now as we playing with the whites, there are even blacks here. Okay, so you see the black areas over here. This area is called shadows. Basically, these are the shadow areas. So you can increase the shadow areas. You see the detail? But the problem is like when you increase it so much, right? You get this thing called spots, noises. We call it. So, for example, here it was like dark. I'm increasing it too much high. Then this picture is okay because it was on a medium scale, so you went from medium to little large. But if it is on a lower scale and you go from lower to medium and medium to large, then you're doing 2 times extension. So it's gonna bring in some dots because it is expanding, it's increasing the ISO capability of the picture, and it's gonna put in some noise in the picture when it increases the pixel density. Every pixel is like this, okay? If you have a higher megapixel camera, then good, because a higher megapixel camera can hold many pixels at the point of time so that it can expand a lot. But in terms of lower megapixel camera, you try to expand it, you cannot break it, okay? And when you break it, what happens? You see dots. That's what the breakage. That's how you can visually see the breakage, by seeing the dots on the picture. Okay, my camera is 26 megapixel, and I'm pretty sure yours also 23 or 24 megapixel camera. So pretty much the same kind of results you might get. Do you understand? So this is it's a good picture, so there is no problem with that. So while increasing it, let me just increasing the blackness. So what I'm doing here is like I'm removing all the blackness in the picture. It's more adding white again. So you see that everything, the mountain is moving towards right because I'm going towards exposure. Okay, I can also go the other way around where I can increase the darkness and the shadows in my picture. It plays very important role, whites and darks. That's all the picture is about. If you make it completely dark, you can see the mountain diminishes because all the color goes off and then becomes down, and then it goes to the left side, and some part of the mountain is already reached left side. You see that? So you have to be a bit careful about it. Okay, so this is a well-balanced picture. So we all spoke about the light and white and blacks, right? So we're going to talk about some clarity over here. Now clarity is basically the amount of crispiness in the picture. Again, more crispiness damages your picture, or less crispiness also damages your picture. Just have a look at it. So now the clarity is in medium. Now I'm going to the right end. Now you see that it's very different. Some people really like this kind of a picture where the clarity is too high. But when you zoom in, you start noticing the dots everywhere. Little bit dots, not too much. As I said, this is a very good picture, so we cannot blame anything on this. So I hold control here. When I hold control, you see I see a hand over here. So previously it was the zoom magnification bar. Hold control, and I'm just grabbing this and I'm going to the center of the picture. Okay, so again I zoom out by holding Alt and then minus. When I hold Alt, it becomes minus. When I don't hold anything, it becomes plus. So I will zoom in and then I hold Alt and zoom out. Okay, so I go minus the clarity. This is what happens when you minus the clarity. Clear? You can see visible results on both the ends. Okay, and then this is vibrance. Vibrance is basically the amount of colors in the picture, more vibrant colors. Saturation, on the other hand, works different. It works on the same color, but saturates that color even more higher, that it starts creating multiple other colors. So as you see that, you become yellowish tint, right? More saturates the specific color. You can also go black and white like this, complete black and white on this as well.
Sorry, but what is vibrance exactly?
Vibrance is more color. Yeah, it's basically a vibrant color, they say, right? See, there's a difference between saturation and vibrance. So I'm keeping the saturation at 0 and I'm increasing the vibrance. Okay, now on top of that, I'm increasing the saturation as well. You see that red color, what happens to this red color over here? It becomes more red. It increases itself so many times. But in terms of vibrance, it doesn't do that much. You see the difference here? It just increases the color. So you can see the different colors over here. If you keep it on this one, this means more red to highlight. Okay, so you can see more color options over here when you go back. Here you see black and white. So likewise. You can also selectively give colors to that. I'll tell you about that, how it's done. Like we can select a location of this particular guy and we can only color him. Rest of the other items we can discolor it. So that is also possible in Photoshop. Is it in Lightroom as well? You cannot select in Lightroom, right? Yeah. So I like it to be a little colored. So let's go to the next one. This is tone curve. Tone curve can be like you can customize the curve yourself. Okay, like this. You can go to any edge and do the same modification. I don't like to do it this way. Go to parametric. Parametric, you have the highlights, highlight lights, and darken shadows. The same thing. You can come over here and do the same whatever you did earlier. You can also do that. You can increase the light, decrease the light, basically that sort of stuff. You can also change the number to 0 rather than keeping it in the middle. You can also do that. More darkness, more lightness. So basically that way. Okay, so this is the tone curve. Maximum we use it if we are running out of options over here. I said you cannot go beyond 60%, right? Then what we do is that we come over here and increase the light. The next is detailing. Detailing includes sharpness and noise reduction. Sharpness is like when you take a picture which is blurry or something, and you can increase the sharpness of the picture. By increasing the sharpness, you will get more clarity to the picture. Now you see that there is more clarity. It's just like exactly like what you did over here for clarity. Okay. Again, same result. As this is a good picture which was taken on 0 exposure, there is no problem if you increase the saturation to a point. Okay, sharpening to a point. But if you are using the night images, like the paranormal thing, that images, you start seeing dots. But you can correct those dots by using noise reduction. Noise reduction reduces the amount of noise in your picture. As of now, this is not being used because there is no noise in the picture. Noise reduction works like this, okay? So what happened is, like, I'll show you a picture. I will edit that picture and show it to you how both of them does that. The next is grayscale. Grayscale as in, like, you can make it black and white completely, and you can make it color. So what you can do is, like, you can specifically change this individual color. For example, you see that red colors over here, right? There's a spot red colors over here. So I can change the color of that red color. Do you see that I'm changing it? Yeah. Only that color gets changed, nothing else. Do you notice?
Yeah.
So this is the yellow color. Wherever that color is coming, that color will change. Okay. So the sheep is in a little bit orangish one. I think this is the one.
Brown.
Okay. So this is one. You see the change in the color of the sheep? Only in those areas. And then I can adjust this. Okay. So if you don't get this thing, just check in saturation or luminance. Something will have the same color. Okay. Next is split toning. Split toning is basically adjusting the highlights and shadows color. Okay, whatever the hues and saturation in the highlights and shadows, that it will change. Not this will change it globally, but this is only for that specific items. But we don't normally concentrate on the shadows and highlight parts in the color, so we can skip it. Lens correction is very important when you're using any lens in the minimum M. Like for example, you have 1860 or 1855, right? When you take a picture in 1855 mm, what happens is, like, you get this distortion. That's the problem with the lenses. Distortion is basically the roundness. Okay. For example, I have taken this picture in you see this picture. See any problem with this picture?
Yeah.
What problem?
On the edges, the lady is not looking at it seems a bit straight. Actually, you can see the lower lines. That's the best part.
Exactly. the flow lines is curved, but actually the location is not that curved, it's straight. Do you understand? What is distortion? Distortion is basically the lens which I'm using is 10 mm lens. Okay, in 10 mm lens, the lens looks like this. Okay, like a fisheye, right? So when you take a picture in this way, obviously the picture will also be curved. So you see that it's curved, the picture. So what happens? The object which is in the sides will be dragged like a black hole. Have you seen a black hole? No, I've never seen. It's just up there. Yeah. So in black hole, what happens when an object goes inside? Just pulls that person like insanely innumerous time, and it just drags him like a chewing gum. What happens in chewing gum when you take it out? It just comes dragging out, right? The same thing happens over here, because the picture, the lens is like this at the minimum mm, like 10 mm, 17 mm, 18 mm also. But in 18 mm, it won't be this much distorted. Okay, it'll be a little bit, and you won't even notice that it is being distorted. If I tell you, can just take me your camera and give me your camera. You have the
picture of it.
What?
I have a picture of it. I've been taken.
Oh, you came for the event, right?
Not even. Today I've been taken. You can
Yeah.
see my images. Go to my image house.
10 mm, 18 mm?
18 mm. Down. Still. Go down. Down. Go full down. Completely down. Yeah. Still. Again. Some more. Oh yeah. Upwards. Just go up. These images. This one.
How do I know? Is this I go to properties and check the details, and here it will tell me the mm, 18 mm focal length. So this picture is taken in 18 mm. Do you see distortion in this one? Huh? Anyone? No? No distortion?
Image itself is blurred.
Not the complete. Not the complete image is like it's like a part of.
Okay, so this image doesn't have distortion. Okay, let me tell you that it doesn't have vignetting. Vignetting is this corner getting black. It's called vignetting. So that doesn't have that problem also. There is no purple hue. Now you remember you asked me why there is a purple color on the picture. It's because it happens. There is green hue and purple hue. Okay, so you can reduce it also. Okay, that's that one. Defringe. So basically the removing the hue. Okay, so these are the things which is into lens correction, which I will load that picture once I done with this picture. Okay, and then you have the FX, dehaze. Dehaze is like basically hazing the picture, more like a clarity I can say. Okay, this is the effect. Okay, and then vignetting is also an effect. Grain is also an effect. Grains is like it will give you grains in the picture. Okay, grainy picture. Okay, and vignetting is also, you can make a dark vignetting or a bright vignetting, white color vignetting. Okay, you can increase the midpoint. We can make it feather, more feather or no feather. Okay, also you can make it like a round box type. Different types of vignetting. It's basically a setting. Okay, so let me just do a 0 on this to disable it. Okay, so let me do a 0 on this to disable it, and then go to the next one. This is camera calibration, as in like the picture control you sent it. Okay, now we can change the picture control to whatever you want. This is Adobe standard. This is like landscape, neutral, portrait, vivid mode. So all these things. These are color profiles. You can also increase this RGB, red, green, blue, in this one, and the sRGB is nothing but shadow RGB. So you can increase or decrease the shadow colors. Wherever the shadow color comes in, it will
So
match
this
it.
is like a preset thing.
Yes, it's a
Instead of
preset thing.
using
Instead of using whatever
custom.
customization you want, rather you can go for the profile and you can choose the profile whichever you want.
Mhm.
Like I would prefer neutral. Some people prefer vivid. Any questions? You can increase reds, greens in the picture and blues in the picture. Or reduce them. The next one is presence. We don't do much on presence. But snapshot, yes. Snapshot is like it's very nice feature. Okay. So now what are you doing is like you are trying to do a specific thing, but you end up doing something else and it looks more nice than what you wanted to do. Okay. So you take a snapshot of it. Say like, oh, wonder. Then you take a snapshot of it. Okay. Now you're done whatever you want to do it. Okay. Whatever you wanted to do, you made the changes. Like let's go to default. Okay. And then now you go and then you create as default. So you have created two settings. One is wonder, one is default. Now you want to go to wonder, click on wonder, and you will go to that setting. You want to go to the default, go back to the default. Clear? So Photoshop gives you an option of loading snapshots into the picture where you can tell what needs to be done.
You just pressed on snapshot and what do you do?
What?
Just save it. That's it.
It's saved.
So if I wanted to I want some wonder or something, how to do it? Like
Click
how
on
to
wonder.
get it? Okay.
And then open image.
That's it.
That's it. It opens in wonder mode.
So after how to save it?
Save.
How to save it? Like Control S? That's it.
Control F. Make sure you save it as a JPEG file. Don't save it as a same format. Okay. If you even save it as a Photoshop file, it will be PSD file.
Okay.
See, this is Photoshop file. Photoshop raw file, and then Photoshop PDF file. Okay, and then Photoshop file itself will be there. You have this Photoshop file. Okay, so you can PSD file. Okay, so do not save it as the raw file because no one saves that as a raw file. See, if you see the raw file will be there again. Okay, I'll show you later. But let me talk about that distortion. Okay, there are two methods of correcting distortion. You can manually correct it. Okay, I'm not able to correct it manually because sometimes when you're adjusting this, you won't get to know about it, which is the best thing to do. So go to profile and then click on remove chromatic aberration and enable profile correction. The moment you enable profile correction, you see that there was a little bit vignetting over here, black color, right? It removes that black color, makes it flat. Any questions? Clear? Is this your lens? Did you used to click?
Yes.
Okay, so it has tuned up that lens and it has given that. You can also select other lens priority also. So, for example, you're using the 10 mm lens. Okay, so let's go to 10 mm. The 10 mm lens correction will be different than yours. You understand? So, depends. Okay. So this is basically the distortion thing, how to remove it. And purple haze, you can come over here, same thing. Go to manual, and then you can remove the purple haze from the picture. Are we clear? Oh shit. What has happened? Okay.
Is there an undo on this?
No, you have to do it again.
In Photoshop we do have undo, right?
Not in this tool. This is a tool. We don't do Control Z here.
Okay.
Inside Photoshop, yes. This is outside your outside Photoshop, right? I don't know. It's not able to remove the purple, guys. Okay, so this is how you can edit the picture. Now let's load the picture which we have edited. So this is a JPEG. You cannot do anything with JPEG. Okay, this is exported file quality. You have to go to the original picture. Okay, see all those edited things are there still because of the XMP file. And I click on open image. Now you have so many tools over here. You can check my other videos to understand the functionality of these tools. But anyways, this is a move tool, basically a selection tool. Okay, this is like the shape tool, so you can draw any shapes you want. And this is the selection tool, so you want to select a particular area. You can do that, but it is manual selection, so so much hard work. This is a quick selection tool, so it will grab all those relative colors. Okay, whatever colors are relative to that, it will automatically select it. So I'm gonna select this goat thingy over here. I'm sorry. Yeah, Photoshop takes so much of memory and CPU. So Photoshop has took about 290 MB as of now, and it eats so much disk space as well. Okay, so it's gonna be a little bit slow.
So in Lightroom you want to select objects, is it?
Okay. So I'm selecting this one. To select it till here, just a little bit more. Only its head, I don't want anything else. You can increase the size of the brush as well. So for example, the item is too big and you want to select that item, you can increase the size of this brush so that it can select a larger number of objects. Sound. It will take some time. What has happened? So okay, you select like this. Okay, so let me ask you an intelligent question. So I wanna make everything else black and white than the head. So should I select the head or should I select the other side of the head?
I need you to repeat.
Okay, I'll repeat the question. Okay, so if I wanna select everything else and then make black and white of the other things except the head, should I select the other things or the head?
Only the head. No? So the rest of thing that you want to make it black and white.
So
Which that you don't
Both
want
are
to do
same,
it,
right?
then you have it's both are same, but
Both are
the pad which you selected that you not do right.
okay, I'll repeat the question again. Now I have this whole picture and I wanna only take this head with the color. Okay, and everything else other than the head should be without color. Okay, so the whole picture is with the color or without color? Is with the color. So I should select the head with the color or everything else to make it black and white. Which one should I select? The head or everything else?
Is there an option to invert the selection?
Yes, we have. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So right click and select invert. So basically I leave the head and I select everything else. Okay, so in this way I can make it black and white easily. There is an option over here called black and white. So just apply this black and white. Got this weird creature. So what happened here is like we selected other things which needs to be black and white because the entire picture is color, right? So the area of the black and white is higher than the area of the color when you are selecting, when I want to select. So it is intelligent that you select the area which is smaller. Now what is the area which is smaller? The head, which you want to remind it colored, right? So you select that area and you reverse it, invert the selection, which means except the head, wherever you selected, the other areas will be highlighted. And then you apply black and white filter on top of that, and which will get you to the appropriate color. You understand how it works? Okay, so this is by applying this kind of modification. It's just not just this. There are so many things you can do. So in Photoshop, we have this nice thing called history. Let me just write this. Nice string called history. You can go back to the selection, invert selection. We can use Control Z, but you can use only one time. Okay, Control Z, and again Control Z means it will do the same operation again and again, like Notepad. If you see a Notepad, right, it won't go back to 1,000 numbers of whatever you did. It will just go back to the previous one. When you press Control Z again, it will come back to the before one, right? So it will go up and down, up and down, up and down, but it will not go up and up. Same thing with Photoshop, but in terms of history, you can go up and up because you will be able to see every action you've done. But when you're not leaving your stuff, like for example, I'm selecting it, okay, I've selected from here and I holded it and I selected everything else. Okay, now one thing you make a mistake, all those things is gone. Because that's why you have to leave and then release your mouse, relax, and then do it again. Continue with the work. What happens? The history falls. If you leave the mouse, then there will be a history activity for that. Are you understanding?
If I want to, if I done 10 changes in the photo, okay, then I realized I don't want the last 5.
You can see all those 10 changes
I
in
can
the.
delete the settings.
Yeah, see here. I've selected quick selected. See, when I quick selected also, I had different areas. You see this?
Okay. Yeah.
So you see that? Slowly it's disappearing, isn't it? There will be a point where I didn't even select. But now what happens if you go back to this point and you do a modification? All those things is gone. But you have only one option, Control Z, only one time. You will get it. Okay. See, I'm doing the control. I'm doing this. I didn't notice that it's gone. I'm doing one more time. Okay. Now I have 2 of this, right? Now when I put Control Z, it goes back to the previous. If If I put Control Z again, it comes back to that one.
Redos it.
Yeah, it becomes Control Y. Do you understand? It's very critical. I mean, when you're working on a big project and you depend on the history, then you are all screwed. Okay, so that's why we have layers. Every time we modify something, we modify it on a layer. Now, if you see my latest work on this Photoshop, which I created. See this one. There's only one layer. This might take a while to open up. Wow, that's magical. Now, if you see, this file size is 1.4 GB. Okay. Now you see how many layers I've added.
1.4 GB.
See how many layers. Why I've added so many layers? It's because, like, even without the history I can still survive, because my changes in the background, if you see everything, if you don't see anything else, right, you see this is my background, okay, and then this is that person, she's on a different layer, and then this is on a different layer. Okay, so why I do this is basically to isolate my works, so that I select in one layer and then remove that layer, and then I go to the next work in another layer, rather than doing everything in one single layer, just trusting the history. You cannot work on that. That's why we put layer. Layer is basically, you have this first thing is like a blank paper. That's how we start our Photoshop. When you click on new, you get a blank page. So on top of that, we start designing. We add stuffs to that. We import the person, we import the text, we import the stuff. So every time we import something, you do it on a layer. Like, layer is basically having another sheet on top of that blank sheet, and this sheet is transparent sheet, and you do some stuff there, and then you put another transparent sheet, and then you add another stuff on the left side, and then you put another transparent sheet. So what happens if you don't like this work? You just take it off the sheet. Rather than taking off complete stuff, you just take off the sheet. Got the difference? So this is how you should be working with the layers. Multiple layers, top on top on top, like just like a cake when you're doing it. You've seen the layer cake, right? Like, you have different layers in that. So what's the use of it? Each layer will taste differently, right? The same thing over here. Clear? Any questions? Anything we need to revisit?
How do we make these layers?
Just click on new layer. It's layer 15. And then, doesn't like the layer, put it on the dustbin. Drag and drop on the dustbin. Okay? Pretty simple. Very simple method. Okay? So it might look hard from the beginning, but when you start working with Photoshop, there is nothing easier than this. You have Corel Draw also, but I never worked with Corel Draw. It's been so many years since I worked with Corel Draw, so I don't remember that thing. But this one, I do.
use Corel, but I think for photographs, this is better.
Depends.
Corel is more like you can draw graphs and everything.
Yeah, they will be using pens to draw things, but in Photoshop it's basically editing too.
Yeah,
I would.
Corel is not that great.
Yeah, for editing the pictures, I don't think so. So there you go. That's how you have to edit the Photoshop. That's the first thing, Photoshop. Next is Lightroom. Lightroom is very small. Tell me.
Yeah, how to save?
Photoshop, you can save it in anywhere. Like you can just open the picture, save as. Huh. So once you edited the picture, you can save it in different formats. Normally we save it in JPEGs. For example, the same picture, the Bakra picture, is open this is opening as an NEF file, right? So once you open the image, it opens inside Photoshop, right? And then file, save as. Okay, so it'll ask you to export it majorly as a JPEG, so just click on save and then save. Now this option is very important. You can put it as a small file, you can put it as a large file. Okay, so basically this is basically the quality of the picture. Okay, then click on OK and
Can
just
we
save.
our name to a photo? Name.
Watermark, you mean?
No, not watermark, in the metadata.
No, we cannot do that here. I think you have the option of doing it, but I don't know how it is done. But yes, you can do it.
No, I didn't understand.
I think it's export.
Metadata, you can say that in the metadata, who selects your photo, you have taken some photo. If I use that photo in some other competition, they will know that I didn't take the photo because it has
Okay.
So here it is. When you export, right, you have this option called copyright and contact information.
Yeah.
So basically export that way. And I think you should have updated your information in Photoshop before itself.
Mm.
See. Anyways, let's open this Lightroom thingy. So what is Lightroom? Lightroom is like very fast, editing tool. For example, I have few pictures over here which my customer wants to see immediately, and I want to get them a JPEG file, at least a small size JPEG file. Okay, so you want to see it, or your friends want to see this file. They don't have Windows 10, or they don't like to open this, this slow. If you see it, it's very slow while opening it, right? So if it's for a JPEG, it will be much faster. So what you do is like you select the best pictures you have, and then you start taking the pictures. So I'm selecting few pictures. Who's this guy with the dog? Okay, few pictures I've selected, and I'm dragging and dropping inside the Lightroom. It's very fast, and you can see that it just opens it opens a folder where all the pictures are there, and whatever the pictures you have selected will automatically selected here. Okay, and then click on import. You want to import all the pictures, you can check all and import it as well. See that this is the progress bar. It's loading all the NEF files. It's double time faster than Photoshop. It's able to load all the NEF files into this one task completed. Okay, so now you can check all the pictures individually. Here is the view icon, individual view, or grid view, or a comparison view, or 4 to 5 comparison view. You can select 4 to 5 objects, and you can just compare it. Okay, so different views over here. Okay, so here is like sorting and stuff. Okay, pretty clear, very simple. Left side you get a bigger navigation, you can have a smaller navigation view. On the right side you have the histogram, basically the mountain, and on the bottom you have quick settings for all those things which we spoke about: exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites and blacks, vibrance and clarity. quick settings. This will mean double time, this will mean single time. I think it's double time, yeah. It's double time higher. Okay. Normally we don't use this. Okay. So what we do in Lightroom is like we see the picture. Okay, these are the pictures. Okay, fine. So if there is like if you're going for an event and it's not likely that you will click amazing pictures on all moments, right? And sometimes you have to take a video. When you're coming back from video to the pictures, you might screw up something. So I would recommend you to divide as 3 different pictures. Okay, dark pictures, medium pictures, and the bright pictures. Take these 3 different photos and put it inside 3 different folders. Okay. Once you have all these 3 different folders separated, first open the darker pictures and then import everything to the Lightroom, all the darker pictures. Once you have all the darker pictures over here, let's say like these are medium pictures, so we have imported the medium pictures over here, and this is what the picture you want to give it to the customer. Now Lightroom gives you facility of adding metadata information. It gives you a facility of adding a signature or a watermark. It gives you the freedom of adding exporting it in different qualities, just like Photoshop. Okay. Now you select all these pictures. Okay. So you see that when you see all this color, it is brown color right now. It's not selected. When you select an item, it becomes a little bit gray, right? So when I select all becomes gray. But one of this picture is white. See this one?
Mm-hmm.
When I select this becomes white, right? Even though everything is selected, I hold Control and I press this. Oh, sorry. I press this one. When I hold Alt, I press this one. Or probably, you see that basically it's still white here. So this means on all these pictures selected, this one is the highlighted picture or the picture you're planning to edit. You understand? But still everything is selected. That's the reason for this. Okay. Now go to develop mode. In develop mode you have the development option, the same exact option which you saw on camera raw. You remember camera raw mode? Raw. Camera raw mode in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Just now I showed you, right? Camera raw mode, the interface which comes before the Photoshop, which had these white balancing, tone adjusting, and then it had tone curve, grayscale conversion,
Grayscale one, yes.
and then it had what else? You see that split toning, details like sharpening and noise reduction, and then you saw the lens correction, all those things, FX, camera calibration, all those things. There's no change because it's all Adobe product. Okay, so what I do is like I change one picture, I go inside the picture, I maximize it, I nicely go inside the picture, and then I changed it accordingly, however I want. I'm not doing it for all the picture, I'm just doing it for one single picture, right? Do you get it, what I'm doing? So this time, these pictures are the pictures which is medium exposed. It's not highly exposed, it's medium exposed pictures. Okay, it's not low exposed, it's not high exposed, it's medium exposed picture. So all this picture which you have selected in this gallery should all be the same, medium exposed. So when I apply a change to this particular picture, I can synchronize the changes to all the pictures. Do you understand? So this is one of the best effects in terms of this one. So I've selected this, you see the white color and the rest are all gray color, which means this is my template. When at the moment I click sync settings, right? So I select what and all it needs to sync. Okay, all those options which you found there will be here. Like for example, white balance, split toning, the basic tone, tone curve, clarity, sharpening. So I can even disable a specific part of this and not ask it not to synchronize to everyone. But I like to check all and then synchronize. Now what happened, you see that all the picture with the same stuff has got the same effect. So I go to this one, I see that, okay, this is second picture, third picture, fourth picture, picture. 6 picture. Do you understand? Likewise, you can also sync metadata information. Like for example, I'm clicking this. I'm going back to library and going back to the multiple view, and then I click on sync metadata. Now when I say sync metadata, you can give the copy name, label, and GPS stuff, artist who clicked the picture, so all those information you can give. You can also, you can be, Arpit, can we just upload or download it or import it, all the metadata information here?
Sorry? Right?
Can we import metadata information?
No, you have to.
Every time I have to type it
No, not necessary. Just go to metadata there.
here,
Yeah, go there.
or just write a few important
Yeah.
information and be stored forever.
That's it. It will apply every time.
What is copy name?
It just became type your name.
I think this is enough. So sync metadata and then synchronize it. That's pretty much it. So once you have done with all the changes, now it's time for you to export it. Okay, as you know, these are all NEF files. NEF files is not readable, so you need to export it. So you go to export, just like how you imported the pictures, you need to export it as well. Now in exporting settings, you have so many things, like you can export it to a specific folder, you can export it to the last folder which you used, choose folder later, like when you're exporting it, when you click on export, right, then it will ask you to choose the folder. Or you can put it on the same folder where the original pictures are, so you don't have to give a folder name to it. Now what I normally do is I have a habit of creating a folder and then putting the files inside that folder, so that you don't get confused between the pictures which you have just edited. Okay, so create a subfolder by putting in a first folder and create a subfolder name. I give a generic name, so I don't need to change it every time. Okay, so you can also do multiple other changes, like what to do after, if there is an existing file name already present. So I put this as ask me what to do. It will ask me, should I override it, or override it with a new name, or replace it, like something like that. Options would be there. And the next one is renaming it, file naming. Basically the file naming is automatic. It will automatically give the same file name as the original file. It will just change only the extension. Like if it's a NEF file, it will change the extension to JPEG. Okay, you can make it like higher case extension, lower case extension, like that also you can make it. The next thing is after this is the video file. If any video is included, you want to create a video or something, you can give a format and the quality of it, but there is no video included here. So this is JPEG file setting. So normally we keep it 100. Okay, 100 means like the fullest quality. Okay, you can also keep it at 1, which creates the basic JPEG file, the basic readable JPEG file. It will create it. So this is useful for zipping the files and sending it to the customers. Okay, because each file will be around 200 KB or something, like how you upload it on Facebook, it reduces the size, right? The same way it will be creating. Okay, so it's up to you. You want to keep it at 100 or 1. So here you can limit the file size also, that it should not go beyond this file limit, but sometimes it doesn't work because some minimum file will be like 200, some will be 700 KB, so it changes, so it will fail, it will throw error in the between. We have tried it, it doesn't work.
What are the other formats?
PSD and PNG, original. Original is the same name itself, it will do this.
Same extension.
NEF file, it will create in the same extension. So here image sizing, so you can resize your image according to that, but we don't recommend it. If you're taking it in portrait, fine. If you're taking it in landscape, then it will resize it to portrait, because you're giving the resolution over here. Okay. Sharpening of images, if you want to sharpen for a specific screen or standard, you can do that. here. And metadata. Here you can only write copyright metadata or all the XME data. XME is like basically all the camera information, like what is the shutter speed, ISO, all those things. Copyright information means only the copyright information, like who clicked it, what is this detail, that thing, will be only there. Okay, so I prefer all metadata. Okay, and then here is the watermark. So I have created multiple watermarks over here. So this is 50% optimacy. Some is without optimacy and some is for demo. Demo is like in the center, it will come GeeksIdea. You can change your watermarks. You just go to click edit watermark and you can change the watermark size and how you want it to be. You see this one on the demo one, see it comes in the middle and there is no optimacy over here. Opacity, sorry. So opacity gets you the, it comes in the background, it's a transparency basically, opacity. So normally when I give it to the customers, I give it with 50% opacity and put it on the left side. Okay, you can also make it bigger or smaller, it's up to you. You can save the changes. Now what you do is like you have to first choose this kind of image. You have to design it in Photoshop, come over here, choose, load that file into this one, and that file should be background transparent. Okay, I've created a video how to create background transparent images. Okay, so you can just refer that. It's part of one of the training. So you can just check that on out and you can put it in any position you like, wherever you want. Some people will be over here. Okay, so that time your signature cannot go and dash on their head, right? It should be on the other side. So I've given 2-3 options over here. See, right, left side. So I will choose whichever I want and then I will do that. When you go for that kind of picture, then again you segregate it. The person standing on the left side, person standing on the right side. So wherever the empty space. So export at one shot, and you get the left side people, right side signature, right side people, left side signature. Again, you have to sort it out different folders. So sort of the same thing. Okay, so that is selected. And once it is done, what it should do, you should open in Explorer, or you should open with Photoshop, or you should open with other application. So normally I put it with the Explorer and then click on Export. Now it is exporting to the same folder, JPEG extension. You can see the progress over here. This picture is nice. So it has just opened it. It's too bright, isn't it? It's a bulk editing, so we can't do anything. The guy with the camera. Oh, this has come really nice, isn't it?
I didn't even know I took those images over.
Which one?
This one. After editing, it's different. Before it was like normal one. Everyone can do it.